Good morning. Balancing a whole bunch of tools here in one hand and holding the camera in another hand. And today's work involves a little bit of a problem that we're having with the new well. But I also just want to get the weather station live and up again here because I've worked kind of hard to get my data reliability scores with the weather providers like EcoWit and Weather Underground and Weather Cloud, and the British one I think is Wow Weather. So I want to just get it online again and get my data sorted again. I just calibrated and cleaned the weather station, so I just want to get it up, get it pointing north, get it level, just when that thing is pushing data out again every 16 seconds. We can go down to the borehole and I'll tell you more about that. Come, old man, keep up. I've chosen this pole, conveniently situated here. It's about 2 meters, meter and a half off the ground. It's perfect because if you look around, it's got a general height here for local climate around us. Since other people already have stations up there, it gives us a little bit of a better average, gives us ourselves better data to work with, and then it gives the wide area a better average on what the microclimates look like. Much more reliable when there's thousands of personal weather stations providing localized data than the really badly maintained official ones at airports these days and airfields and so on. Okay, it's leveled, mounted, very ugly using wires, but this is now a test. See if my range holds up. If the range holds up and levelness is good, then I replace the wire with little steel anchor cables and I put in a few screws under the camo tape there, and then it becomes permanent. But I find that it's too much work to do a permanent install and then things don't work out. So this is going to be a test. Give it about 2 weeks, adjust it, 2 weeks, adjust it, and then decide on a final mount. For now I can get reliable data on. It's pointing exactly north. Everything is balanced, rain bucket is cleaned, every sensor is cleaned, so it should be good to go. Okay, wind just picked up out of the blue. Maybe it's a good sign. I see the clouds are building up on the Langeberg there, but I hope it doesn't affect the noise too much on this microphone. So I've stuck the camera into a work glove, see if it works. This is the setup here at the well point. So we've got this piped up now, and it's simple. It comes out of here. This is intended to be the throttle mechanism, which actually was open until now, completely open. And then I've got a little bit of an extra out here so that we can take water from the well directly for samples, and so that I can perhaps water the animals here directly from the well. And then the bottom pipe goes around, goes up, goes under a few roads, 2 or 3 roads, and then goes up to the tank there. So from where I'm sitting, that's about 20 meters higher, and this thing is 140 meters deep. The water pushed up to 15 meters, and we've got the pump at 100. And the problem is, with our test yesterday, we ran it unrestricted. So at the rate we were pumping yesterday, and this is the issue, not really an issue, but it's not really what I expected, is after we reached 1,500, maybe 2,000 liters, the pump at the bottom here went into run dry protection and shut off. Didn't really expect that. So it means that the 650 liters per hour that we were pumping from this was a bit faster than our recharge rate, because it took a couple of hours. 650 is already quite slow, and we were hoping that it would just pump fine at that rate, because the first well point on the other side of the farm does about 800-900 liters a second, and that one does fine at that speed. It does mean that we're going to have to restrict this down, maybe down to 400 an hour. That's like wind pump speeds, but it's fine. If it has to go very slowly, then we can just let it run for 2 or 3 days at a time to fill the tanks that we need, and then be smart about mixing the 2 well points and irrigating from both. And this is a dry area. It's not really, we're not supposed to be irrigating like there's no tomorrow. We have to be smart. I'm gonna choke this guy down to see if I can reach about 400 liters an hour, 450 maybe. Only way to determine that is to go to the top, which is quite a hike, and do a bucket test. So you take the container volume, say that paint bucket is 5 liters, divided by the time it took, times 3,600, to see how much liters you pump per hour. I want to get that down to 400 and then see if we have the same problem. I kind of waited now till the sun is very high up here over the panels, and this is north, by the way, because I'm in the southern hemisphere. So I know the panels look like they're mounted skew here, but the frame is actually level. The panels are mounted in a slight twist so that I just get a better north here. So I didn't build the frame entirely north. I had to adjust the panel mount angles. So we're going to do that now, and then I'm going to go up there and test. Now I'll do a recording from up there when I do the bucket test, and we'll test it from there. Come at the top. There's the bucket from the previous test, and with it throttled now, the water takes quite a long time to get here. Didn't even start yet. Sitting here, you can hear it just started flowing. It took a scary amount of time, but it's probably normal considering that flow rate and the distance it had to travel through an empty pipe. So let's do this test. I'm going to just get my stopwatch here. So 10 seconds. Yesterday it was 28 seconds to fill the bucket. Now it seems to be less. I'm gonna have to, it's about the same. I didn't choke it down at all. You see, now I have to go down and set it again. Stop. It's 28 seconds still. We're still pumping at the same rate. I'm gonna have to go down and do it again. You wouldn't think that us living between these hills would get such worse water than people on the other side of the hill there and people on the other side of the hill there. Both sides are seeing rates of 4,000, 5,000 liters an hour. I mean, we can only dream about that. And we've got 3 holes between us and the neighbors now, and we're seeing the same kind of results now. It's a little bit scary. Means that we have to work a bit harder to become resilient. Good morning, it's a new day, and if this looks different, then it is because it is different. I'm not trying to get not too technical, because I don't know half of the fluid dynamics here, but anyway, these ball valves, they use these, I don't know if you can see in there, like a round ball that opens up. You can't really use these things to regulate flow. They have to be almost closed to have any effect, and then it's like just tapping them makes a huge difference. So couldn't find a proper globe valve and so on, but this gate valve does a good job at regulating flow, and I've got things running now. So I had to go get this yesterday, and I added this pressure gauge before the valve. So the reason for this is the pump at the bottom and the pipe can handle 16 bars and more. The pump can actually do much more. That pump can pop the 16 bar class 16 pipe in there. And what I want to do is just to make sure that as we throttle it down, that we don't have too much of a pressure build-up on the pipes that go into the ground and the pump. I want to keep the pump inside its operating pressure range, and I want to keep everything down. So 12 or 14 bars is fine when you start throttling it, but I want to stay away from that. So I've got this gauge yesterday. It only goes up to 1000 kilopascal, which is 10 bar, and also equal to 10 meters of elevation. And with the valve stopped down a little bit now, I've got almost 300 kPa there. So that is combined pressure from the pump as well as back pressure from the top tanks pushing back here, so the weight of the water. So I can almost use this when the pump is off to see if there's any water pushing up the hill, but mostly to check and make sure I don't overpressure the system. So this is working fine, but it was still going too fast. Closing this causes cavitation, which is not good for the valve, pump, it's not good for anything. So I'm trying to do another experiment here, and that's the reason this isn't mounted yet. Still working out how I'm going to do this. I've got only one of the two panels connected. They are 440 watt each. So together they are almost a kilowatt, 900 watts or so, which gives this pump its most efficient power available early in the day, all day, even with clouds. It'll help a lot. So running only one panel is not really efficient, but it did drop the voltage to a lower side of the pump's operating range. So this pump can operate all the way from 30 volts, can operate all the way down to 200 watts. And the power consumption, or the power it is given available to, versus the elevation that it needs to pump to the head, gives you a flow. And right now, with the sun being out, one panel 440 watts gives me a good flow there. So I'm going to go to the top now and measure again, see if we can get this thing to flow slow enough. Wow, it's very up and down. There we go, that's equal. So now I need to put down the camera quickly and then time the bucket full. Okay, sorry, I couldn't film all that with one hand, but give or take, and lucky enough, about 1 minute. Maybe I should be safe and work on 58 seconds. So the math is container size of 5 liters divided by 58 seconds times 3,600 seconds in an hour gives us 310 liters per hour. So that's a lot slower than I had hoped. Kind of the same rate you would get from a rusty old dilapidated windmill with a leaky leather piston there. So I decided I was actually going to end the video with the last checkup on the pump. It is now 13:47, it's about 2 p.m. and if it's still pumping, it's been pumping for 5 hours. Okay, I can see the pressure gauge is still up from here. Okay, the gauge is holding at 300 kilopascal, 3 bars. That's where I left it over an hour ago. What this means is that the water level should be stable, and that is good. It means we have pretty much matched the water level. Now in summer, when the sun is going to be higher than this, it's now at there, so at some point it's going to be higher up, going to produce more power. Hopefully that means we have a stable well, and even if it's not that fast, it is something, and we'll make do. few Caracara oranges here, Korea, a few things that need to be planted. Why is the camera looking down like this? Feeling self-conscious. Alexia's digging there. So we've got to get a keerboom in there, Virgilia oroboides I think, and a fig, which I don't know, I think it's a Cape fig, I can't remember what fig it is. And then Alexia's digging on the left of the camera there for a Korea. And the new grey water system that took forever to get into the ground here, all the way from the back of the house, I think it's like 20 meters of 110mm pipe that runs out here, exits the grey water, and we'll channel that to all the trees that we are going to start expanding with here. Got a little bit inspiration for doing some of this technique here from a Suerte del Molino farm there, so thank you, and thank you for popping in. While we put these pipes in, also put in a drainage perforated pipe here to help drain the road section here so this doesn't get mushy, and we buried some water pipeline for in case we want to bring irrigation back here, and then also some 2.5mm electric flex, because I don't want to dig this ever again. So this is here now, so if we need electricity or anything here, pumps, lights, whatever, it'll be here. So the trees are going in here, and then on that side of the house, 3 oranges. Alexia dug all 3 holes there this morning already, making some rings with welded mesh wire to protect them from the kudus and steenbokkies and rabbits and our own dogs, who needs enemies. And then over there is the new compost ring. It's just a makeshift thing. It's starting to look like a Johnson Sioux bioreactor. It almost is, but it lacks the pipes. Can still put them in there, I guess, but we have been throwing away a lot of biomaterial, which is a crime. So all of this will go in here now, and then any of this, when it rains, any of this compost tea will run back into this area that we're developing. So this is all going to work out eventually. It's an important step, because starting to plant trees is the start of changing everything. So on this side, this is the Caracara navel oranges. We've got them staggered like this into the soil areas that we know are very deep, very nutrient dense, and their purpose will be to bring a bit of coolness and a bit of a breeze breaking on the side of the house. Also, it's very nice to smell these orange blossoms when the breeze is coming from the side in summer. And I'm going to think about how to irrigate these, because they are above our grey water dispensing line. But this on this side is the trench that basically catches water. So the back of the hills and the trench and all the water from this side works together to move any large monsoonish rains that we get, as happened, down the trench, and it goes down and it flows out. And if you look in the back, you can see the rock line there. That is also where there's another trench, and that feeds straight into the earth dam that we're busy building there. Just need a bit of machinery to finish that. It's a lot, if not impossible, to do that by hand.